Okay. This is my audience.
Okay. Kaylin. Freedom.
Langdon.
Okay. Okay. HR 6123, also known as the Megan Meyer Cyberbullying Protection Act, states that it is a federal crime to send anything via an electronic device, either interstate or foreign. That might be meant to coerce, intimidate, harass, or cause substantial emotional distress to another person. This information was obtained via the opencongress.org website. This act amended Title 18 to include cyberbullying as a punishable offense. StopBullying.org defines cyberbullying as bullying that takes place over an electronic technology. Electronic technology includes devices that are and equipment such as cell phones, computers, and tablets, as well as communication tools such as social media, text messaging, chats, and websites. I understand that while we want to retain our First Amendment rights, First Amendment rights and the freedom of speech, we also need to shield ourselves and our children from the people that will spew hate and hide behind that freedom. First, I would like to give you some statistics and general information on cyberbullying. Then we'll look at policies that exist at all levels of authority. And finally, we'll take a look at some possibilities and some ideas that can help to prevent, educate, and even help to enact new policies. As a result of this information that I deliver in this speech, I want the audience to be more informed of what is already in place and be moved to consider further cyberbullying policies at a state and local level for those areas who do not currently have policies. According to nobullying.com, 52% of young people report being cyberbullied. 25% of teenagers report that they have experienced repeated bullying via their cell phones or on the internet. 33% of the young people who reported being cyberbullied said that their bullies issued online threats. 55% of the teens who use social media have witnessed bullying via these social medias, and 95% of these teens ignored that behavior. More than half of the young people surveyed said that they never confide to their parents how often cyberbullying happens to them. Only 1 in 6 parents are aware of how horrible cyberbullying is to their child. 80% of teens with cell phones, which make them the most popular device for cyberbullying. Boys are more likely to be threatened via cyberbullies than girls. And unfortunately, victims of cyberbullying sometimes, in an attempt to fight back, can shift roles, becoming the aggressor. Often this happens as a sort of back and forth between victim and aggressor. Victims of cyberbullying are more likely to suffer from low self-esteem and consider suicide as a result. As you can see, cyberbullying is a big problem. With cyberbullying on the rise, we need to look to the future to protect children and ourselves from future harm. Laws in the UK, there is no legal definition for cyberbullying in their laws. All of their laws that are protect cyberbullying are actually laws that are meant for other offenses. They have the Protection for Harassment Act of 1997, Criminal Justice and Public Order Act of 1994, Malicious Communications Act of 1988, Communications Act of 2003, and the Defamation Act of 2013. In 2010, Giovanni Butrali, the Assistant European Data Protection Supervisor, outlined how the European Parliament and Data Protection Act could be implemented to protect individuals from cyberbullying and online harassment. The European Commission has also been active in curbing online abuse by forming an agreement with 17 of the world's most leading social medias. Cyberbullying is not confined to English-speaking countries, and we are seeing nations that are all over the world implement changes to address the issue. UNICEF, the Human Rights Commission, and the United Nations are calling for a coordinated approach from the governments around the world. Laws that are used to prosecute the cyber offenders are generally designated for other reasons. Here in the United States, other than the law that I mentioned in the beginning, the Megan Meyer Cyberbullying Protection Act, there is no specific cyberbullying laws. Currently, there are 49 states that have anti-bullying legislation. Nebraska, South Dakota, and Iowa do not currently have any wordage in their laws for anti-cyberbullying. Schools are responsible for taking care of any cyberbullying that occurs on school property, with school property, or any school at any school functions. Although there is federal legislation to punish those who cyberbully, there is little on a state or local level. Schools do not have policies in place do have some policies in place if the occurrence can be proved to have happened on school property or during school functions. However, little is usually done and the torment continues. According to the Hartington Newcastle High School Handbook, this is where my children attend school, they only have an anti-bullying policy, not for cyberbullying. One of the missions of the district is to provide a physically safe and emotionally secure environment for all students and staff. Positive behaviors, nonviolent, cooperative, teamwork, and understanding and accepting of others are to be encouraged in the educational program and are required of all staff. Inappropriate behaviors, bullying, intimidation, and harassment are to be identified, and all staff are required to avoid such behaviors. Strategies and practices are to be implemented to reinforce positive behaviors and to discourage and protect others from inappropriate behaviors. In the handbook, there are no specific policies on cyberbullying. This year alone, there have been at least 4 instances of cyberbullying at the school, and these are only those that have involved my children. In each instance, the sheriff was called to help document each case. There has not been anything of true consequence happen to these kids because they continue to harass others over the computer and cell phones. It is apparent that although we have taken few steps, we have miles to go. I suggest that on a state level, we implement policies for repeat offenders that might restrict their devices, or even take them away if they continue to offend. In schools, a standard punishment could be something clearly written and followed in the policies. Schools have some educational tools that are used in assemblies and such. They are materials that the state gives them. However, the problem is that these materials do not have any cyberbullying information specifically in them. In conclusion, there are millions of children included in that 52% who are bullied electronically. Let us be the change that is needed. As we modernize laws to address cyber crimes, and the courts need to protect the First Amendment while leaving the internet an environment safe for our children to learn and communicate without fear of attacks by cyberbullies. Only when we work together, the courts, legislators, schools, and parents, will we be able to find a way to protect our children from cyberbullies while making the internet a safe and educational, peaceful place and protected from the freedoms for which this country is founded on. I know that we have a long ways to go, but if we work together, we will be able to make the future a place where our children can enjoy the internet and not be afraid to be themselves. Make the internet in our homes as safe as our homes. Thank you.